Okay, students, today I will be discussing about continuous delivery and then continuous deployment. See, your unit 4 is on continuous delivery and deployment. So this I will discuss today. What is continuous delivery? What is continuous deployment? See, already there is a pipeline called CI/CD. Okay, so in CI/CD pipeline there are three different activities we have to perform. So those activities are, first activity is called CI, that is continuous integration. Second is continuous delivery, and third is continuous deployment. So these three activities are involved in our CI/CD pipeline. Okay. So first, let us see what is CI. Already, you know CI. CI means what? It is a continuous integration. So in this CI/CD pipeline, your first task is to perform CI, that is continuous integration. So in this continuous integration, the developer makes the changes to a code and immediately it commits the code. This what? After making changes to the code by the developer, your code will be pushed onto the repository. Okay, that means on the central repository, means on GitHub. Then immediately your CI server, that is, see, there are many CI tools like Jenkins is there, Bamboo. So we are using Jenkins now. So this CI server immediately pulls the code from the GitHub and it builds that application. Okay, by using, again there are some tools we use to build an app. So those tools are Maven, Cradle. So use any one tool to build an app. So your CI server is pulling the code, which whenever there is a change in the repository, that means in the GitHub, immediately it pulls the code from the GitHub and it builds an application using any tool like Maven. Okay, so after performing this build by using any tool, then if this build is successful, then after that it performs unit testing and integration testing. Okay, so once this CI is done, means in this CI, first we perform the build operation. After that, if the build is successful, then we perform unit testing, integration testing. So this part already I discussed in our previous unit, that is unit 3. Okay, under Jenkins I told you. So once again, I'm repeating the same because here we have to discuss CD, and that is continuous delivery and deployment. But before that, you should know what is CI, because this continuous delivery and deployment, this is the next phase or next step after CI. Right. So in CI, your application it is built. Then after, if the build is successful, then we perform unit testing and integration testing. Okay, so now CI is over. Means once the CI is done, then we start continuous delivery. Okay, first continuous integration. After continuous integration, we start continuous delivery, and after continuous delivery, then we start continuous deployment. Okay, so this is a step. So in this CI/CD pipeline, the first step is CI, second step is continuous delivery, third is continuous deployment. Okay, now let us see. Okay, CI already we discussed now. Now what is continuous delivery now? After CI, your CD starts. So, and see, in the company, means nowadays most of the company they are preferring continuous delivery. See, continuous delivery and continuous deployment both are same, but there is a little difference between these two. Okay, both we use for deploying our application. Okay, so here, but companies are preferring continuous delivery than continuous deployment. Right. Now, let us see what is delivery here. I'll show you again with diagram all these three terms: CI, CD, that is continuous delivery and deployment. So let us see what is continuous delivery. So continuous delivery is what? It is a process where code changes are automatically built, then tested and prepared for a release to production. Okay, means what? Already after CI, okay, till CI your build was performed. We are building an application. Okay, after that we are performing testing also, like unit testing and integration testing. But there is one more test called as user acceptance test. So that is not performed in CI. Okay, during CI we are not performing unit acceptance testing. So this is not performed UAT. We call it as a UAT. It is a user acceptance test. This is not performed under CI. Okay, so under CI only unit testing and integration testing is performed. Okay, after that your continuous delivery starts, and this continuous delivery your user acceptance test is performed. Okay, so and okay, so here in continuous delivery, so manually after performing this user acceptance test, we manually deploy the application on production server for the release. Okay, see why I'm using this manual word. But in case of continuous deployment, automatically your application it is deployed on the production server for release automatically. So there is a difference between continuous delivery and continuous deployment. Both are same, but in continuous delivery there is a manual task of deploying application on production server for release. So whatever application we developed, already it is tested. Means all the tests are performed, including user acceptance test. Then manually it is deployed onto the server for the release in continuous delivery. Whereas in continuous deployment, only difference is we deploy application on production server, okay, for the release automatically. So that is the difference between continuous delivery and continuous deployment. Okay. Now, and also I'll tell you the difference between CI and CDI. Okay. With the diagram, I'll show you. Now, see in CI. So, is it visible to you? So, I am going to tell you the difference between CI, continuous delivery, continuous integration, continuous delivery, and continuous deployment. Okay. So, we'll see in short. Okay, the difference between continuous delivery, continuous deployment, and continuous integration. See in this figure, so this part, see this dotted box is a continuous integration part. Means what I told you, your developer, means any developer, if it's changing the code, it means if he makes changes to the code, so after that it commits the code, means that code is pushed on the repository, your GitHub. Then immediately your CI server pushes the code and builds that application. Means what it performs, means it compiles the code, it performs code review, unit testing, integration testing, and it integrates that code. Okay, so all these activities perform under this CI, except this one, UAT and production. Okay, so this is called as CI part. Okay, after this, see after CI, yes, CD. After continuous integration, CD starts. That is continuous delivery. So this part. Okay, just we added the user acceptance test after continuous integration. Means what? After building an application, okay, then the user acceptance test is performed on that application. After successful, after completion of this user acceptance test, then manually that application is deployed on this production server for the release. So this is called as continuous delivery part. Okay. Then after this, this CD, sorry, continuous deployment. Okay, so again, after user acceptance test, then your application is what we call deployed on production server for release automatically. Okay, in continuous deployment. So the differences between continuous integration, continuous delivery, and continuous deployment. Okay, again, I'll tell you there are some differences between these three. I'll show you one more diagram. Okay, now here, continuous integration, continuous delivery, and continuous deployment. So this is your first step. Second step is continuous delivery. Third step is continuous deployment. See, in continuous integration, automated build for every commit. Okay, means after every commit, your build was performed. Means we are building an application automatically after every commit. Means after every change, that source code change, immediately we are committing the code, then automatically we are building the application. In case of continuous delivery, automated build and then unit acceptance test for every commit is performed in continuous delivery. Whereas in continuous deployment, automated build, then unit acceptance test and release to production server for every commit. So this is the first difference between these three activities. Now, second activity is what? In continuous integration, this is independent of continuous delivery and continuous deployment. Means what? Continuous integration is not dependent on CD and continuous delivery and continuous deployment. It is totally independent. Means okay, but whereas this continuous delivery and deployment we perform after continuous integration. Means these two, means continuous delivery and continuous deployment, they are depend on the continuous integration. Okay, now see, in continuous delivery, it is the next step after continuous integration. Means this depends on the continuous integration. Again, continuous deployment, it is one step further from the continuous delivery. Means after continuous delivery, we perform continuous deployment. Again, now third difference is by the end, the application is not in condition to be released to production. Means at the end of this continuous integration step, okay, it is means the whatever application we build is not in a position to release to the production, because still we have to perform one more test called as unit acceptance test. That's what it is saying, that the application is not in a condition to be released to production server. But in continuous delivery, by the end of this continuous delivery, the application is in a condition to be released to production. Now here we can release the application to production server. And in continuous deployment, the application is continuously deployed. Right. Now, again, the four differences CI includes white box testing, whereas the continuous delivery includes black box and white box testing. And in continuous deployment, it includes the entire process required to deploy the application. Okay, so these are the differences between the continuous integration, continuous delivery, and continuous deployment. Okay, so I covered these 3 points. Okay, so in this session, I'm going to cover all these 5 to 6 points. So continuous delivery, continuous deploy also, and then difference between CI, CD. So now this, okay, we have seen now. Now the next part is what are the advantages of Docker. So already in our previous last 3-4 sessions we discussed about Docker. But okay, because see, these are some important topics from your unit 4. That's why I'm discussing once again. What are the advantages of Docker? This I have not yet discussed. The first advantage is speed. Okay, so because of this, we prefer Docker compared to other tools. Okay. It means what? The speed of Docker container is very fast compared to virtual machine. Already in our previous session, I was talking about the virtual machine and containers. Okay, almost the containers are like a virtual machine only. The container is better than virtual machine. Why? Because see, the first is this is the first advantage. speed. Okay. The speed of what? Docker container is very fast compared to virtual machine. Why it is fast? Because as you know, the containers are a lightweight compared to virtual machine. Okay, so this is the first reason, or we can say first advantage of Docker, right? Now next advantage is portability. Okay, so Docker is portable. Portable means what? The application that we build inside container. See, inside container we have application as well as the dependencies to run application. Okay, so these applications, okay, we build inside the Docker and they are portable. Means what? We can move these applications anywhere. Okay, already inside container we have application as well as dependencies. Means the softwares, okay, which are required to run our applications. After creating a container, we can run this container on any machine. We can move anywhere. Okay, so it is portable. That's what called. It is Docker is portable. Okay, so move anywhere. Okay, its performance will not be changed. It gives the same performance in all machines. Right. Now third is, what difference is, it is scalable, scalability. This is what we can, this your Docker can be deployed on any server. Means you can deploy, you can install on any server. Okay, so we can easily move from this, okay, from any cloud environment to our local machine. So created container, we can move anywhere from cloud environment to local machine or from local machine to cloud environment. That's what it is called. It is a scalable. This is one more advantage of Docker. And fourth one is, it is its density. Is what? Move container. We can run this container on a single host. Okay, means we can create more number of containers on a single machine compared to virtual machine. Okay, already there is a limitation of creating virtual machine on a single host, on a single machine. But if we talk about the containers compared to virtual machine, we can create more number of containers on a single host. That's meaning of density. So these are the four advantages of Docker. Okay. Now let us talk about the containerization. So it is like a virtualization only. Okay. Then I'll talk about the Docker image and difference between Docker image and container. Docker container. Okay. So container. So first I'll talk about Docker image and then the Docker image and container, because already we discussed many times about Docker image, but you should know what exactly the Docker image is. See here. So this Docker image, I told you the image and containers, they are almost same, but the relation between these two is, this concept of image and Docker is like a class and object. Okay, means what? Your object is an instance of a class and a class is a blueprint of object. So this concept already you know. Just keep in mind the relation between Docker image and Docker container. They are like a class and object. Right. See, uh, your Docker images, if you talk about the image, they are immutable. See, immutable is what? After creating an image, we cannot do the changes in the image. Already I told you, and I have shown practically that if you want to make any changes in the image, first create a container from the image, then modify the container, and then from that container you can get one more image. So here Docker images are immutable. That is one more concept, means they cannot be changed, and it contains, means that image contains the source code, then libraries, dependencies, some tools and other files required to run an application. So already I told you this part. Your image contains all the required softwares to run an application. Means what software is what? Any libraries, any files, then tools. Okay, the source code. Right. And see, in real world, see every developer on a team will have the exact each testimony. Okay, so this is about the Docker, and see your and these Docker images are saved on the Docker Hub. So already I showed you some examples of images. Now let us talk about the difference between Docker image and Docker container. Okay, so there are around 8 to 9 differences between. So till now I told you that from image we create a container. Almost they are same, but the difference between these two is, see, it is a blueprint of a container. Your image is a blueprint of container, whereas the container is a instance of the image. Already we have seen practically. Okay, so this part, it is an instance, means a Docker container is an instance of an image, whereas the Docker image is a blueprint of a container. The second difference is image is a logical entity, whereas container is a real world entity. Okay. Then third difference is images are created only once. Okay, after creating image, so okay, so already you know there are three ways of creating image. So already we have seen. So they are created only once. But miss, before creating image, we have to decide what kind of dependencies, what type of dependencies tools we are going to add in the images. That we have to decide in advance. So after creating image, suppose if you are modifying your Docker file, okay, so we cannot create the same image. We have to create new image. So that's what they are created only once, but the containers are created any number of times from the image. Okay, just pull the image from the Docker Hub and create containers. Again, we can put the same image. We'll get another container. So container can be created any number of times using an image. The image is immutable, whereas containers is immutable. We cannot change the image, but we can change the containers. Containers can change only if the old image is deleted and the new one is used to build the container. Okay, so this is the fourth difference. Then images do not require computing resources to work, whereas the containers requires the computing resources to run as they run with a Docker virtual machine. Means to run a container, so we need this Docker virtual machine, like Docker engine we need, right? And then there are six differences. To make a Docker image, you have to write a script, that is Docker file. Is to create an image, we need Docker file. Without Docker file, it is not possible to create an image. But okay, but already if we have ready-made image available in the Docker Hub, just pull that image. But to create image, we need this Docker file. But to make a container, we need image here. So you have to run this command. So use this command, Docker run. Automatically, your container will be created from the image. Now, Docker images are used to pack up applications and pre-configure server environments. Whatever the packages, whatever the tools, whatever the dependencies, all commonly called as a package. So to package an application, so we need Docker images. Containers use the server information and a file system provided by an image. Okay, so this is for container. The images can be shared on the Docker Hub. So after creating image, we can upload this image on the Docker Hub. Okay, so that anyone can use that image. But here, it makes no sense in sharing a running entity. Always Docker images are shared. Means we are not sharing container. If you want to share container with other member, so first create a image from the container, and then share that image with the other member. So there is no meaning of sharing container with the of the member. And next is there is no such thing as a running state of Docker image. Containers use RAM were created and in C. While creating a container or while running container, they are using the RAM okay, of your host machine, the space. Already I told you, suppose your container needs suppose 2 GB RAM. So during running only, the 2 GB RAM is allocated to container, then we can easily run. If we stop the container, that memory allocated to container, it is released and that memory can be used by the another container. Okay, but whereas in virtual machine, once we allocate the memory to virtual machine, so it is permanently allocated to that machine. So other virtual machine cannot use that memory RAM. Next, the 10 differences: an image must not reference to any state to remove the image. Okay, and here container must be in a running state to remove it. Okay, suppose I want to remove any image. First, there should not be any reference to image. It should be totally free. Then we can easily remove the image. But in case of container, it must be in a running state to remove it. Then only we can remove the container. Means you should go into the container, inside the container. Means it must be in running state. Then type that remove command. Then automatically that container will be removed. And once the these are the some sharing of Docker images is possible, but sharing of containers is not possible. So these are the some differences between Docker image and container. Docker container. So it has a multiple read-only layers. It has a single writable layers, and these images templates can exist in isolation. Containers cannot exist without images, right? So these are the differences between Docker image and Docker container. Is it clear to you? I hope it is clear to everyone. What will I discuss? See, Docker image I told you. Now what is Docker container? So see, okay, I'll tell you first virtualization. What is virtualization? Probably I'll share these notes with you. Don't worry. See, what is containerization? So it is similar to virtualization only. Okay, containerization means creating a containers. Virtualization. Only the difference is here. Uh, the containerization is more efficient because there is no guest operating system here and it utilizes the host operating system. See, if you talk about the virtual machine, your virtual machine has a separate operating system. But in case of containerization, the containers are using the host machine operating system. Means separate operating system is not required under containers. Whatever the operating system we have inside our host operating system, host machine, that operating system it is used by the containers. There is no separate OS is required in containerization. Okay, so this part, and they are very lightweight and they are faster than virtual machine. Okay, read this passage, this paragraph to know what is containerization. Okay, so I'll share these notes with you, students. So I think, is it clear to everyone? So these points I discussed: what is continuous delivery, what is continuous deployment, what is continuous integration. Again, we have seen the difference between CI and CD. What are the advantages of Docker? That also we discuss. Then containerization. What is containerization? What is Docker image? And we have discussed the difference between Docker image and Docker container. I hope it is clear to everyone. Okay, so let's stop here. Just wait for 2 minutes.